This Tuesday, our church celebrates the feast day of Saint Vlasios of Caesarea. The following are some details of his life and works. Born into wealth in Caesarea at a time when the ancient city boasted of wealth and culture, he grew up in the midst of pomp and splendor. Called by some a traitor to his class, he was the very soul of humility and the epitome of Christian clarity. Because of his complete acceptance of Christ, he knew nothing of the marketplace and the money changers, choosing the company of Christians much less privileged than himself. Caring nothing for the wealth left to him, he forsook the life of leisure and pleasure to be a servant of God with a rare commitment. Vlasios could have cavorted with other wealthy friends in spending sprees, but diverted every bit of his fortune before the feet of the Lord, there to be shared by the poor and the undernourished, of which there were and still are so many to this day. With a willing heart, he set up projects for the poor that were a study in administrative skill, logistical distribution, and above all, in humanity. When the word was out that the generosity stemmed from Vlasios, he was approached by his affluent friends, anxious to determine what madness drove him to depart from his worldly goods. Vlasios saw in their concern an opportunity to convince them that far from madness, it was for the highest of purpose he was acting thus, and he invited all he knew to a great banquet, at which he had not only acted as his own toastmaster, but as a spokesman for the Saviour as well. Pagan and Christian guests alike hushed in silence as he spoke of their obligation to those less fortunate than themselves, exhorting them to act in the same manner in the name of the Lord. As impressive as a noble Vlasios might have been, it is doubtful that his affair was a successful fundraiser, although his words and deeds must have pricked the conscience of some of the Christians present. It is certain that although he may have won a few converts, he did nothing but incur the wrath of scornful pagans who looked upon Christian clarity as a trivial application of support to the weak and defenceless. After the feast, the flint-hearted pagans went forth not in gratitude to their host, but to seek his denouncement for his overt offence to their own false beliefs. They called for his Christian head and got it, although in the end they wished they had kept silence. For his offence against the state and its false idols, Vlasios was called before a magistrate who might have been lacking in charity, but was not lacking in the least in cunning cruelty. When the sentence was pronounced, little did anyone know that the magistrate was summoning forth the power of God. Vlasios was brutally tortured, but his body showed no sign of damage. The torture was repeated, and each time the results were the same. The tortured man showed not the slightest scar, no matter how much flesh had been torn from him. The futility of this form of punishment called for something else. An outsized cauldron was found, then filled with water, which was brought to a boil. Vlasios was then tossed into this boiling water, only to climb out without so much as a blister. Suspecting that sorcery had rendered the boiling water harmless, the magistrate, to show no harm would come of it, plunged his face into it, only to pull away screaming in blindness, and soon thereafter dying of his burns. The witnesses of all this fell before Vlasios in recognition of his Saviour, and were baptized without injury in the water that had destroyed the scornful magistrate. Vlasios left the scene to go forth and preached as a dedicated missionary. His reputation preceded him, and his work was made easier for what had happened. His ministry work continued for many years, until he died in peace of old age.